Welcome to the Untrapped podcast, where we give motivational and inspirational tips about life, small business, wisdom,
health, wealth, finance, relationships.
It's about being the best you that you can possibly be. Hashtag Untrapped. Welcome to the Untrapped podcast. I am your host, Keith Kalfas. What's up, guys? This is Keith Kalfas with the Untrapped podcast. On today's show, we got Chris Solville, the founder, the owner of Tree Solutions. Awesome. He's a tree guy. He's an arborist here in Michigan. This guy climbs up like 80, 100-foot trees. He hangs from cranes and takes out like 10,000-pound trees over people's houses. He worked at a company, an electrical company here in Michigan for years called DTE. It's a big company. He's a DTE power line certified like high line tree worker. So this dude learned how to professionally not risk his life over trees. And he's investing in his company and equipment. He's a Terminator. Because the first time I met him, I'm on a job doing a whole property maintenance deal, trimming all the trees. But there was this one big ass, I think it was an elm tree or something. And this thing was literally, we could trim most of it, but there was one just monster piece going out all the way over these primary power line wires. And I called up Chris because I knew him since we were younger, but through Eric Reno. Chris showed up in his truck. He brought his gear out, and I was like, he seems real confident. Is he sure he can do this? Because so the fucking dude, I mean, right in front of the customer, climbs up a tree. I mean, we're all on the ropes, and he swings this whole branch out like this, and then drops it down perfectly into the yard. And I was like, whoa, okay, this guy's the shit. And he gave me a deal, and I was scared. What's up? This is Chris Solville from Tree Solutions. You might have seen him in a previous vlog of mine, up in the big bucket truck, trimming trees and shit. What's up, Chris?
I'm going to type it, Keith. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here, dude.
So, dude, you're crushing it. You just got what is that big-ass truck you got with the bucket?
It's international. Yeah, it's like a 65-foot bucket truck. It's pretty big by all means, but it's a nice piece of equipment to have.
Yeah, dude.
It makes things a lot easier.
So we're going to get into a little bit. Talk about how you because he's crushing it right now. This guy's doing commercial work, like hundreds of trees in a complex, just raking it in. And you start out with a big vision. Every time I talk to Chris, he's like, dude, I want to go big. I want this. I want this. I want this. Like, he's not limited in his thinking. Talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, I've never looked at it as if like a lot of people set goals essentially for themselves for the year, just in general. Somebody will say, I want to make X amount of dollars per year. I'll never limit myself. So I never put a cap on that amount. I'll just try to do as much as I possibly can every year. And it's paid off. Yeah, don't ever think small-minded, in my opinion. That's one of the biggest things that limited me in the beginning, was thinking small-minded. When you think on a small scale, your goals become realistic, and they shouldn't be. You should be trying to reach for unattainable goals, always. At least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And then you grew up poor, just like the rest of us. You had nothing handed to you.
No, absolutely nothing. Started off completely on my own. Yep.
And so at the company that you worked at, I mean, I like all of a sudden you got a dump truck and you got a chipper and you're doing it. And I'm like, how the hell did you just get all this equipment? So you saved?
Yeah. Yeah, I worked for a power company for a couple of years. I'm a journeyman for them also, but I had left there with the realization that, hey, this is what I wanted to do, but I didn't want to do it for someone else. I started to get bored doing it for somebody else. And actually going on my own was huge for me, at least in my opinion. It re-sparked my interest in everything. So I actually truly enjoy what I do again. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without them, though. The training and things that I received from there were much better now that I've been on my own for years and realized what competition is really like and things like that. By all means, safety. It's huge. A lot of guys fail to do simple little steps that they're risking their life for on a daily basis. Just little things that I would not probably realized had I not been with such a big corporation or outfit prior to being on my own, which is a good thing. By all means, it helped me out a ton.
Yeah, dude. And with chainsaws, like, you got all the gear, all the equipment. You got from, top handle, a regular saw, all the way up to this. What is that chainsaw that you have that's like?
Oh, it's like the second biggest one to make. It's a 661. is what it is.
How long is the bar?
That one I think is 36 inch. It's
That's
3
like
foot.
This, dude.
Oh,
So I came with you to help because I got the dump trailer, and you're like, dude, come help haul off some logs because you removed this big ass maple at this complex.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, those.
It was huge. Yeah, those are some of the bigger ones. I like doing the bigger work though, to be honest with you.
Why?
More my forte, I guess you can say. But yeah, that's what I've always done. My profession was doing the actual more risky work, like to sit there and trim small prune trees and things like that. I'm just not. I do it by all means, absolutely, because we do complexes and HOAs and whatnot. But at the end of the day, yeah, I actually enjoy doing crane work and bigger removals.
Crane work.
Yeah.
So I came with you one time. We started working together a little bit. So if I have a big ass job that I can't do, I call Chris up, and then he comes and we'll all work and split the money up, which is pretty cool. It's a fun deal sometimes working with your friends. But
I actually enjoy it. It's fun.
I went on this job with you. It was a quote, actually. I think you got the job when we went in this lady's backyard. It was this monster silver maple growing in the middle of, it was like through a deck or something.
Yeah, through the middle of the deck. I remember that.
Did you guys end up doing that one?
Yep. Yeah, we did it. It was a crane job. We actually had to crane the entire thing piece by piece over the top of the house. There was nowhere else to take it. Yeah, I remember that one clearly. It's actually another friend's sister. Actually, that was her home. But it's very similar. We had to do a few crane jobs this year, actually. I did some for that complex that we were actually in as well. There was another one of them that we had to take down there too. We've been back with the crane a few times, but it's actually, it's fun. I enjoy it. It's kind of cool being actually part of it. I mean, most people never see anything like that in their entire life at some point, but it's pretty neat to be out there.
To the point where the neighbors are standing outside like, what the hell?
Yeah, people videotape us constantly. It's funny. It's cool though. I understand why.
So you like doing, I took some notes here, commercial work and stuff with higher ticket prices you're going after. I remember you told me you're going for the bigger work that some other tree guys just won't even mess with. Talk about that.
Well, yeah, I'll go with, I guess, some of the bigger tree jobs that other guys won't mess with, because at the end of the day, you have to have a minimum. You need higher ticket items, things like that. When you have guys that are working with you or subcontracted for you, things like that, you have a minimum that you have to meet. If you're not meeting that and you're not profiting at the same time, you're not in business. You're going to go backwards. So you have to. Absolutely.
And you also do emergency work. He was at my Marketing ROI live event, and I know you had to leave or something and then come back. Yeah,
it was actually for emergency work. Yeah, it was one of the complexes.
What happened?
It was actually a tree had broken and fallen on it. I remember it. Yep. Yeah, that's what the downfall to it, I guess, essentially some guys don't like, is that you are on call 24 hours of your life, but it's worth it in my opinion.
He's like legit wearing his hoodie right now. I bet you. Yeah. So, but that's cool. So you got the bucket truck this summer.
Yep.
I mean, you were dead serious, fired up, and
yeah, we're pushing for some other pieces of equipment too. If all goes as planned, there'll be more coming out.
What if a guy's like, he just has his truck and some chainsaws, or maybe a dump trailer? How do you take on bigger work? Like, you team up with friends. You got this one friend that he's got that spider lift or whatever. How does that all work out?
I like it, to be honest with you. I sub out a lot of work, and in my opinion, by doing so, I keep a good group of guys that are skilled in their profession around me. And then when we have bigger jobs, we can accomplish it together. Everything gets done, I guess you could say, essentially in a timely manner, because everybody knows truthfully what they're doing. They're not just sitting there kind of messing around. So it works out. It's a lot more efficient than having 5 or 6 underpaid people. I'd rather just have experienced individuals that know their worth be on the job site with me. Everything goes smoother. Then I'm not a big babysitter. Nobody's really interested in doing that.
So there's one thing I want to ask you is bottlenecks. I know sometimes we're out on a job, we don't talk too much when we're working, but when we do, you'll talk about something that's frustrating you. Like, what is a bottleneck in your business that once you open that up, things will just start moving a lot faster?
Realistically, equipment-wise was one of our biggest hurdles, and we've actually accomplished some of that this year. So realistically, the biggest bottleneck I think we have right now is that we have had a pretty large amount of growth. By doing so, getting skilled individuals in them same places, essentially implementing everybody into the position they need to be in, is where we're at right now. It's kind of building the entire team to grow again. So we're going to get bigger.
People and equipment.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
One thing that you called me up during the fall, and you had this whole complex, a condo complex. And so you had us come and paid my day rate. And then next thing I know, I'm sitting here dragging brush for fucking 8 hours, exhausted. I'm like, well, how would you put a dingo or like a something on it without messing up the lawn so you could drag brush way faster? Because we had piles of brush for trimming all those trees, and you were coming around with the chipper, chipping it all up. Yep. We all were working in groups. How do you speed something like that up, like a complex?
There's a lot of ways. Like actually, with the trucks and the equipment that we have to drive on lawns, I actually bought their Alterna mats is what they are. They're sheets that you can actually drive over. It disperses the weight of equipment, so you don't have a footprint anymore. So across lawns, things like that, you're no longer destroying anything.
Dude, I gotta do this. I had this dope idea. You ever seen the Segway Mini Pro? Yeah. It's like, but it's got the bigger wheels on it. You ride this thing around like through airports. If we had a Segway, we could probably drag the brush like at 10 miles an hour to the chipper, and you'd be like riding around like guys. We could put on helmets and shit and like have like, you know, be futuristic tree guys or whatever.
It's awesome.
I come up with some fucked up shit, man. So, okay, so you're at the point now where you're turning down jobs because
not on purpose, but yeah, some of them you have to.
Dude, I remember like 4 years ago, I was quoting this maple. It was going up over this dude's nice ass privacy fence, and like it needed to be trimmed. And I called you up, and I was like, "Hey, man, you want to help me do this?" You're like, "I'm like, I already quoted it," and you're like, "How much you quote it for?" I was like, like $750. And you're like, "Are you out of your fucking mind?"
I remember.
You literally left. I thought you were never going to talk to me ever again. Like this guy's out of his.
It's awesome.
So
yeah, but that one in general, yeah, I remember that tree.